Hi everybody, it's Miss Joyce. I'm coming to you today to give you some of the techniques and the ideas that I have for handling challenging behaviors. I promised you I would talk about that, and today is your day. So there are some techniques that I've used over the years, and a lot of them are techniques that good teachers have used for many years. Remember, I've been teaching for about 49 years, and I have had a lot of experience with children and with families. So just a couple of things quickly for challenging behaviors. Number one, I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's a technique called behavioral momentum. If you have a child who just always seems to be negative, who never wants to do what you ask them to do, you might try this little technique called behavioral momentum. What it means is that you want to get your child in the habit of saying yes when you make a request. And so what you do is you set up a system of 10 trials or 10 commands that you give to your child. And each one of those commands is something that you are absolutely sure your child will say yes to. One of them might be using a primary reinforcer like M&Ms or cookies or something that your child likes that might be more healthy. You know better what your child likes than I do. So you offer this to your child 9 times. And every time they get offered this particular treat, they'll say yes. So let's say, for example, you start out by saying, "Would you like to have an M&M?" Your child pretty much will say yes every time. And then you give them an M&M. Then a few minutes later that pass, you say, "You know what? I'd like to give you another M&M. Would you like one?" Yes, they say. You need to get your child to say yes 9 times. And then on the 10th time, you hit them with the zinger. And that's when you say, "Would you like to go clean up the mess that's in your room? Or would you like to put your toys away?" And behavioral momentum oftentimes will allow that child to just automatically say yes and then get the job done. Then it's up to you whether or not you reinforce that behavior. You don't necessarily need to, but it's sometimes a good idea to give them at least a good social pat on the back. That's one technique to use when your child is being stubborn and doesn't want to do what you've asked them to do. Another technique that we use at our school, and I teach my teachers how to do every time we have a training, is called the precision request. Now you might see this someplace else. A lot of special education teachers have used it. They call it the precision command. I call it the precision request because I'm a positive discipline teacher. I'm actually graduated from the School of Institute of Applied Behavior Analysis at Loyola Marymount University. And in fact, we learned about positive discipline and how to give a kid an encouraging life as opposed to a judgment life. And so precision request sounds like this. By the way, if you've ever had a child that you had to tell them 10, 15, 20 times to go take a bath or to go to bed or to stop screaming or put their toys away, you say over and over and over again, your child is going to tune you out. The precision request, you can relax and understand that with a precision request, you're only going to have to ask this child 3 times, and I promise you this will work. The first request, you simply give the child the command or the request, and you say, "Susie, please sit down in the chair." Then you need to give 3 to 5 seconds for your child to process this request and to be successful. You want them to succeed on the first request, but you understand they may not. So I tell my teachers to literally count in their mind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll count in your mind when you get really good at this. And then you give the second request. If your child has not complied, your second request is, "Susie, you need to sit in the chair." And then once again, give him that processing time, 3 to 5 seconds, count in your head, and wait patiently. But have a look on your face that says, "I know you're going to do this." You are actually expecting your child to be successful. If they still do not respond to that request on the second request, you need to have somewhat of a physical request or some sort of a physical hint to get them to do it. And that can be just as simple as moving toward your child to help them to sit in the chair, using one finger on their shoulder to help them sit down in the chair. With some children who are very resistant, and who probably are not used to this kind of technique, you may actually have to place careful hands and loving hands on them and help them sit in the chair. The minute that little body hits the chair, you need to reinforce it right away. Good job, Susie. You're sitting in the chair. And then you may have to use this precision request more than once. That's a great technique. And another technique that I really like to share with teachers is what I call the modified teaching interaction. If any of you are familiar at all with the Boys Town model, this did come from some of their bag of tricks that they have to help with behaviors, with challenging behaviors with older kids sometimes too. The precision request looks like this. It's actually a teaching interaction is what it is. It looks like this. Bobby, just now when you lined up, you reached up and you hit the child in front of you. What you should have been doing was keeping your hands down to your side. When you keep your hands down to your side and line up with our friends, we can go out faster, and everybody wants to be in line by you, Bobby. Do you understand? Make sure you get that acknowledgement that they understand, and then say, okay, Bobby, let's try it again. As soon as the child does it correctly with their hands down to their side, at that point you reinforce like crazy. Super job, you really know how to line up. You are thinking about taking care of your friends and playing outside. It only takes a few minutes. Do you know what's astounding to me? I've taught so many groups of teachers how to do these techniques, and oftentimes I hear this comment, oh, I don't have time for that. I just rather stick them in a chair and let them stay there. Well, let me tell you what I call timeout in a chair or isolated timeout. I call it a shaping behavior. I think that all we're doing when we isolate a child in a timeout chair is teaching them how to sit later in a jail cell. Think about what you've done, really. Honestly, folks, don't use that technique. I call teachers who use that technique all the time one-trick ponies. And I suggest that you have a whole bag of tricks to include this precision request, behavioral momentum, and also the modified teaching interaction. I have some of those things also spelled out in my little booklet that's on Amazon. If you're a member already, you can get that booklet for free. It's called You Did What With Your Kid? So I suggest that you check that one out. And I will be also writing some more pamphlets in the future to help you understand these techniques. Again, I love questions and comments. So please, if this has helped you at all, I'm asking you to like this page or share this page, and please subscribe if you would like to get more of this kind of teaching. I sure appreciate you, and remember, Miss Joyce is thinking about you, and I will be here when you need me. Thanks.